What's up guys, and welcome to round number 9 of the F1 Legends career mode. And obviously you are not watching this video because it isn't F1 2017, but yeah, we're obviously still on F1 2016. We've got a season to finish, and I'd love to hear you guys comment down below as to why you're watching this instead of F1 2017. Obviously this series has been incredible so far. We're here at the Japanese Grand Prix today, at one of the greatest and most iconic circuits, it has to be said, in the Asian calendar. But yeah, without further ado, it is now time to get into qualifying. So then, qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix was upon us, and for this session we are going to be taking a lap on board with myself. Because yes, for the first time this season, we actually took pole position. This is the lap that did it for us. You can see we're currently sitting in P13. But as we cross the line now to start a new lap, we've got the DRS wide open. And as we go into the first corner, we're just preparing ourselves for this double right-hander. Go down to 4th gear and try and hold it, because we do get better traction there. And you can see we get a lovely little exit before we come into this S section. We are already 0.2 of a second up. Or is that now 0.3 of a second up on our previous best time? This section of track is all about just being patient, and sure enough we managed to do that, and on the exit in 5th up to 6th gear we come towards the end of sector 1. It has been very tidy and we do go purple, and now we come through the two Dagners. Gotta be careful not to cut them, and we run a little bit wide on the exit of Dagner 2, but it shouldn't affect us too much. And now as we come into the hairpin, it is incredibly difficult to not lock up there, and also very difficult to not get wheel spin on exit, but we somehow managed to do both of those, not lock up and not get any wheel spin. And as we now brace ourselves to the brilliant spoon curve, going down 3 gears into 5th before a further 1, as it sort of you know, bites again, a second bite at the cherry almost. In that section, but now we are coming down the back straight almost, and go over the part of the circuit by the two Dagners before now going into 8th gear and through 130R. We are 0.9 up on our previous best time. It's now over a second. What a lap this has been. And as we come through the final corner, shifting through the gears, minimizing the wheel spin, here you can see that we get pole position ahead of our championship rival Niki Lauda by the smallest of margins. 0.04 of a second is all that separated us, with Juan Manuel Fangio in 3rd, and he is followed by the two McLaren Hondas, who in fact split the two Mercedes cars on the grid. My teammate is sitting there in P7 just ahead of Schumacher, and as we get into the bottom half of the grid, you can see the two Renault cars there in 13th and 14th. They'll be disappointed because they showed some pretty good pace in practice, but now it's time to get in to the race. Here we go then, ready for the Japanese Grand Prix, and boy oh boy, what a qualifying session it was. A pretty tense one all the way to the end, but now we're going to be lining up on the grid in pole position. You can see there Jackie Stewart, who will be starting towards the back of the grid today. It was a difficult qualifying session for Tyrrell, but for ourselves, it was the best of the season without a doubt, and it's such a crucial point in the championship as well. It just could not have come at a better time. So yeah, we're going to go on to the formation lap now, and there you can see the current drivers' standings, and you can see that we are currently 12 points behind Niki Lauda, so it was crucial to out-qualify him there. And if we finish ahead of him, you know, if the race finished like this, we would then be 5 points behind him going into the final race in a winner-takes-it-all Grand Prix at Brazil. But of course, we've got a long way to go. We've got 27 laps ahead of us, and we've got the likes of Fangio, Senna, Hakkinen all prowling in behind. We've just got to try and get a good start. So on the formation lap, trying to get the tyres up to temperature, and we're starting on the soft tyres. I believe the compulsory compound is the hard tyre, so yeah, everyone's going to have to go onto that at some point. I believe the soft tyres will probably wear out within about 4 or 5 laps, so that will be interesting to see. But now we are forming on the grid. For the first time this season, we're going to be leading them away, and it is time to rev up to the 5 red lights for the Japanese Grand Prix. and away we go. We get a very poor start, bogged down. We get wheel spin and didn't release the clutch early enough, and we've been passed by Lauda and Hakkinen before we get even to turn 1. And now we're pushed out wide by Hakkinen, who has had a brilliant start. He started all the way down in P4, so it's been a poor start from Fangio, as well as the virtual safety car is deployed. And just like the Belgian Grand Prix, on the first lap we have a virtual safety car. So we look further behind, they go 4 wide. We found out in Monza that you can't go 4 wide in this series. And there it is, Fernando Alonso. And also, it looks like Mario Andretti caught up in that incident, so he's lost a little bit of his front wing. But here we can see the launch from the current race leader, Niki Lauda. You could just see how much wheel spin we got there, and it's no surprise that he led. But you can see already, look how much Hakkinen actually gained on Fangio. So Fangio had a very conservative and poor start, much like myself as well. So, yeah, he is down in P5, and there you can see the virtual safety car when it is deployed. But, yeah, we're just sort of hanging in behind Hakkinen, trying to keep to the delta, and now you can see the virtual safety car is about to end. So we're going to try and have a look at Hakkinen now into Spoon Curve. We anticipate the green flag, and now as we come towards Spoon, we are right behind Hakkinen in a position to overtake him. And as we come now through 130R, we're just a little bit too far back to try and make a move. But we do close up on him, and Lauda is currently leading. But he is by no means getting away as we get a bad bit of wheel spin there at the end of the first lap. It's been a pretty hectic one so far, and now we've got Senna going down our inside. As we're not momentarily down to P4, but we will be soon if we're not careful. But Senna does back out of the move. And there you can see we get through turn 1 and 2 unscathed. So, yeah, it's just been... The start has just completely taken my breath away, but as we start lap 3 now, there is going to be a move for the lead of the race possibly. Yes, Hakkinen dives to the inside, and having started in P4, he's now up into the lead. He almost forces Lauda off track. I'm not sure whether he just didn't leave him the room, or whether it's just a similar scenario to the first lap, where Hakkinen sort of pushed myself wide. So, yeah, there you can see that he is up into the lead, and we've got his teammate right on my tail, who is then followed by Fangio and Schumacher. Behind him is Andretti, so it must have been Farina that was caught up in the Turn 1 incident, and that's a beautiful camera angle of Lewis Hamilton, who is at the back end of the top 10 at the moment, but we'll be looking to make up some ground pretty soon. It's been a pretty poor start, in fact, for both of the Mercedes drivers, but of course it is only lap 3 at the moment, and you can see that we're just about a second and a half behind Lauda. And in fact, we come through here at the end of lap 4, and he's had a poor lap as Hakkinen looks as if he's pulling away slightly now, as we are closing up on Lauda. So his tyres look as if they're going away from him. And we are in fact going to dive into the pit lane for our first stop of the afternoon. Lauda carries on, but we see an opportunity as his tyres are wearing out for us to switch on to a set of the medium tyres. Is it going to be? Yes, it is going to be the medium tyres. So we've still got to run the hards, but that's okay because we're looking at probably a 2-stopper today. Going soft, medium, hard, and possibly another set of softs if you know those 2 tyres don't go all the way. But behind us, Senna also came in, probably just to cover us off more than anything. I think he believes that he's probably got the pace over us in this race. But there you can see on board with Farina, who is just behind myself. So we actually get ahead of a little bit of traffic. So yeah, I think the team called that one that one pretty well. We're just behind Jim Clark at the moment, who started on the medium tyres, but as we go through this first sector, it's a brilliant opportunity to warm the tyres up. It's like doing weaving for you, the track is. But anyway, we see Mika Hakkinen here 1 lap later, along with Lauda into the pit lane, so it's going to be interesting now. We're going to see what the Ferrari pit crew can do. He's onto the soft tyres, so it looks as if those lot are going to go for a 3-stop, which in fact may be the most efficient route to the checkered flag. Same with Hakkinen as well, so they've both strapped on a set of soft tyres, and we are on the medium, so we're getting the pain out of the way early, although obviously all of us are going to have to go on the hard tyres at some point. But there you can see, emerging into the lead, or the net lead of the race, is Hakkinen, but ahead of him there was a few cars squabbling. I believe one of them was Nelson Piquet. In fact, it was the 2 Brabham cars. So he has been held up with that. So has Lauda. And that has given myself an opportunity as we come through this S section. You see that we will actually close up to that train of cars. So that has worked out very nicely for us. You know, obviously Hakkinen pitting that lap later, but not quite having enough to get ahead of the Brabham cars. And we in fact go purple through Sector 1, and now we are right on the tail of Niki Lauda, our championship rival. So he is on the soft compound, so if we overtake him here, that would really compound his misery. We don't go for a move, and there you can see Nelson Piquet on board with him, or not on board, but looking at his car. And lovely aerial shot there. You can just see how close Mika Hakkinen is to his rear end. And as Brabham is in fact leading this train, it is Piquet though that's really holding up us front runners. And I'm just about in the shot at the back, but now you can see Hakkinen is surely going to make a move on Piquet as we go to 130R. He's going to be on the inside. It could be a bit of a risky move, but he hasn't got a championship to go for. Myself and Lauda have. Lauda does go for the move, and are we going to be able to follow them through? Yes, we are. So we make a double overtake through 130R. I think Brabham and Piquet sort of realising that that's not their race. You know, they shouldn't be really fighting with us guys, so they pretty much let us through when we came knocking on the door. But yeah, we get DRS on lap 7, but we just can't close up to Lauda, who has a little bit of a lock up there, and we thought about taking a look down the inside, but it just wasn't quite enough for us to do so. But yeah, you can just see how much ground we were actually losing on lap 7. And, you know, Lauda probably pulls a 2 second gap, as now the virtual safety car is once again in action. So we're going to take a look at what happened on the replay, and we're actually looking at the Tyrrell of Jackie Stewart. So behind him is my teammate, and I believe that is Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton goes down the inside, and you can see coming out of the pit lane, once again, it's Fernando Alonso involved in an incident. And, well, no surprise that the DRS has been disabled as well, because although Alonso managed to get through unscathed, the Tyrrell and the Mercedes didn't. So Hamilton just simply goes for a move down the inside, then obviously sees the Renault coming out of the pit, and 3 does not go into 1 into that first corner. So, yeah, it looks as if Stewart was still there on the outside, and neither of them came out of that well. So, yeah, virtual safety car has been deployed. We've just got to keep to this delta, but you can see there that the delta really... in fact, we've already gone racing. Once again, I didn't even realise, but we almost anticipated the green flag. So as a result of that, Lauda is right behind Hakkinen, and I am right behind Lauda. But we've got yellow flags here going through 130R, and there's some slow-moving cars, and I'm not quite sure who that is. Is it the Tyrrell? It is. It's the Tyrrell of Jackie Stewart, who still hasn't got round to the pit lane, and Lauda has a massive lock-up into that final corner. So the incident with Jackie Stewart has just allowed us to completely catch up with Lauda. You may have seen Alan Jones there peel into the pit lane from the lead of the race. That was his first stop of the afternoon, but you can see these two guys ahead are starting to struggle now on the soft tyres. So yeah, the medium tyres are starting to come into their own. You can see that on the recommended strategy, it's saying to go hard and then finish with the soft tyres. So yeah, that could be interesting to see later on in the Grand Prix, which tyres Lauda and Hakkinen are going to go for. But talking about going for something, and Niki Lauda in fact went for the move before 130R. He comes back into the lead of the race, and as we go into the final chicane, he takes the lead here. And it's going to be interesting to see whether he peels off into the pit lane. No, he doesn't. He goes for another lap, as does the McLaren of Hakkinen. So it looks as if they're going to go 5 and 5 laps on these soft tyres. Hakkinen, is he going to make a move into turn 1? No, he doesn't. But oh, it's a big lock-up from Niki Lauda. He runs wide. Hakkinen gets back into the lead, and now we're going to be taking a look as we go through the S-curves. And we do just about go down the inside of him into turn 4, and that is a beautiful move. We stuck our nose down the inside, took advantage of Lauda's wearing tyres, and sure enough, it managed to pay dividends in the end. So that is good to see. And now we're just going to take a look at a replay of Lauda, and it was just a simple lock-up. He had the DRS, and he just braked too late going into the first turn. So that was a pretty easy move for Hakkinen, and then he sort of goes to the inside, and I just sort of stick a nose down the inside, and it was it was as easy as that, wasn't it? But anyway, we couldn't really keep pace with Hakkinen on that lap. And I thought, you know, surely this is going to be his final lap on those tyres. And sure enough, he does peel off into the pit lane for his second stop of the afternoon. And following him in is Niki Lauda. So, yeah, both of them are going to be making their second pit stops. It's going to be interesting to see what tyres they put on. So, Lauda goes for the medium rather than the hards at this stage. And we're going to take a look at Hakkinen in a minute. And Lauda has got back ahead once again, so they're swapping positions all the time, but Hakkinen there is on the soft tyres, so that is a very strange strategy from the Finnish driver, and it looks as if he must be going for a 4-stop, surely. He can't go 3 softs and a hard. So, yeah, that is a very strange strategy from the McLaren guys, but he isn't even in the lead of this race either. So switching back to ourselves then as we're going through the Dagner curves on lap 11 here. We're currently leading this Grand Prix, but there we go, a little bit wide. And we've only got a couple more laps until we're going to have to come into the pit lane. So we do not want to be making mistakes like that. And here we can see at the end of lap 12, we've obviously got the guys behind on fresher tyres and obviously Hakkinen on the soft tyres. So yeah, at this point I'm thinking, you know, I'll just respond to them and come into the pit lane. And now Hakkinen is actually stuck behind Alain Prost. And he's going to go down the inside by the looks of it, as my teammate's also making a move on Rubens Barrichello. But Hakkinen goes down the inside at 130R, forces Prost wide, and he is now into the jaws of Niki Lauda. So, to be honest, at this point, I'm not too concerned about Hakkinen, because I'm pretty sure that he's going to be on a different strategy to myself. But nonetheless, we still want to try and get ahead of him. And now you can see a train of 3 cars. And there is myself. So I'm going to come out just behind that train of 3. But I'm going to actually come out ahead of Alain Prost, who is obviously followed by Niki Lauda. So, to be honest, we're in a pretty good position at the moment. We're ahead of Lauda, who's pretty much on the same strategy as myself. And just, you know, different tyre compounds at different places in the race. But, well, we've got Hakkinen ahead of us, and he is on the soft tyre, we are on the hard tyre. So this is the compulsory compound, so Hakkinen will have to run it at some point during the race. And seeing as he's on the soft tyres, I don't think he will be able to go to the end of the race on those hard tyres. But he is struggling now to get past the car ahead of him, which is Jenson Button. So we're just going to take advantage of that and try and go down the inside of him. We get a lot of wheel spin, and we're actually going to lose out to Hakkinen there. So as we come through this right-hander, you can just see that we lost so much momentum going through the hairpin that we've in fact been passed by Prost as well. So we're still ahead of Lauda, but behind Alain Prost. And after all of that, you know, hard work to try and get past Hakkinen, we've ended up losing a position rather than gaining one. So now we are stuck behind Prost coming down the straight, but he is going to go down the inside of Button. We're going to back off, as you can see on the telemetry there, and that has very much worked in our favour. So while those two are squabbling with each other, we just go round the down the inside of the two of them and up into 4th position. So my teammate is currently in the pit lane, so that has released Hakkinen ahead into P2 now, I believe. So yeah, we're halfway through this Grand Prix now as we defend from Prost just there. But yeah, we're just trying to keep within touching distance of Hakkinen at the moment. And now you can see Lauda trying to get past Prost, and he does so, but it's a lap later than myself, so he's lost out on a lot of time there. And as he goes into the chicane, you can see, you can't even see myself. That's how far up the road we are. But Hakkinen has come into the pit lane, so he's still got another 13 laps left. And what tyre compound is he going to go on? Is he going to go for... Well, surely he's going to go for the hards. He's got to at some point. No, they've got another set of softs. I don't know what is going on down at McLaren. It's some questionable strategy. This is his 3rd pit stop, and he hasn't put anything on apart from soft tyres at the moment. So, yeah, questionable decision down at McLaren, and he has come out right in the middle of a cluster of cars. He has, though, managed to jump my teammate by staying out that extra lap. But later on lap 15, he is trying to go down the inside of one of the Brabham cars of Nelson Piquet. Piquet runs wide, and there you can see he slips through, but he is way down the field, and I believe he's out of the points at the moment, in fact. So, yeah, Hakkinen has a lot of work to do if he's even going to score some points this afternoon. And he's probably been the quickest driver on the track, so, yeah, read into that what you will. But we're currently in P2. And at this moment, we're sort of thinking, well, surely we're going to win this race, until I realised that we've actually got Juan Manuel Fangio up ahead of us as Lauda comes into the pit lane there for his final stop of the afternoon. Surely, he's going to have to put on the hard tyres. And yeah, sure enough, the Ferrari guys don't mess up the strategy and they put him onto the hards. But yeah, in terms of myself, just Fangio has come out of nowhere. He had a really poor start, but it sort of adds up now in the sense that he was obviously being quite conservative then, and it's come back, and his tyre management scheme has meant that he is actually going to make one less pit stop than myself, and possibly two less than Häkkinen. But Lauda comes out of the pit lane and he is behind my teammate, so this is Vettel's chance to shine. He hasn't been great this season, Vettel. I mean, he's out-qualified us more often than not, but in the races he just seems to have gone missing. He's made a few mistakes, obviously putting it in the wall at Spa, but now this is his time to try and defend from Lauda. He holds him up for a lap or so, but Lauda has the pace and the DRS and goes down, past Vettel on the straight. And into turn 1 he really did go wide, but it didn't seem to come back to bite him, and it looks as if he's actually going to stride away from my teammate now, so that's a little bit disappointing. But obviously staying one lap behind him is better than nothing at all. But yeah, we have obviously still got one more pit stop to make at some point, and we're actually going to go on to the soft tyres for the final stint. But we're going to take a look at the running order. So obviously myself, I am leading the way as Fangio actually came into the pit lane at the end of lap 20 to fit the medium tyres. So that is his final stop. And also Lauda has made his final stop, and he's quite a way behind Fangio. With Vettel in P4 also, I believe, to make a pit stop. Hamilton is there in 5th, so again, a Mercedes going for a 2-stopper, and it's looking good for him, as it is for Alain Prost in P6, getting some very good points for Renault. Schumacher just not managing to match his teammate, which must be very disappointing for him in P7. Andretti in the points for Alfa Romeo, currently in P8, but right behind him is Jenson Button, so he'll be looking to pull a move before the end of the race, and then Alan Jones is just one corner behind. Currently in P13 and 14 are the McLarens. They have just had an absolute nightmare on the strategy. But anyways, we come towards the end of lap 21. We've got 6 laps to go, and I think, you know what, I can probably stretch those soft tyres 6 laps. I'm going to have as many laps as possible on them to try and catch Fangio, because we've only got a 12.5 second lead over him. So Fangio is going to take the race lead as now we emerge from our pit box. So he is, yes, he has gone into the lead of the race, because you can see him go past us there and up into P1. So now it just seems like an eternity that we've got this pit limiter on, but we switch it off and we are rejoining the race in P2. So we have got ahead of Lauda, and we stayed ahead of him, which isn't really a surprise. But now the running order is Fangio in 1st, followed by myself. I am about 6 or 7 seconds behind, and then a couple of corners behind me is Niki Lauda. So it's been a very disappointing day, or sort of second half to the race for Lauda, with Hamilton there in P4, Prost in P5. So, you know, he's moved up yet another position, with Schumacher following him in P6. So is Schumacher going to try and make a move? That is the question. But Andretti now in P7, with Button just sort of dropping back from the Alfa Romeo a little bit. And Häkkinen has had a good stint. He's in P9 and he is just up behind Jenson Button. So he's going to probably be trying to make a move at some point, with Vettel rounding out the points in P10. But as we end lap 22, you can see the gap is 6.4 seconds. So our task is to try and whittle that down before the end of the race, if we are going to win this race and carry some more points into the final round. So Lauda is currently in P3, and we're only going to be gaining 3 points if this remains the case. But at the end of lap 23, we in fact set the fastest lap of the race, but we are behind Jackie Stewart, so we're going to have to minimise the amount of time that we're behind him for. But there you can see we dive down the inside, and we are just, well, we are wasting no time whatsoever. And at the end of lap 24, the gap is down to 4.5 seconds. It's just not coming down by enough at the moment. And as we end lap 25, is it going to be below 3.5? No, it's still just over 3.5. So we're closing in by a second a lap, but we've now only got 2 laps to go. And as we come to this shot now, you can see 1 lap remaining. What is the gap? It's 2.2 seconds. We've had a very, very good lap 26, and now we are just going to stay on board for the final lap of this race. And as we go into the first corner, we've had a little lock-up, and now we can see Fangio. We can see his rear wing. We can almost read the Petronas logo on his rear wing. But are we going to be close enough to make a move into 130R or possibly the final chicane? I'm not too sure on that, but you can see he's on the medium tyres, so I think if he was on the hards, we'd probably have had a better chance at getting him if the gap was obviously the same. But you know, he'd already got his hard tyre stint out of the way, so fair play to Fangio. He is just, it's been a tactical masterclass from Mercedes today, who had a very poor start after a half-decent qualifying, but it looks as if they're going to be taking home 37 points home today, and well, only if we're about the only driver who can have anything to impact that at the moment as we come towards Spoon Curve. It just doesn't look as if we've closed him down enough. We've got enough fuel to get to the end in rich revs, and now we come through the exit of Spoon. We got a little bit on the grass there, but as we now go onto this back straight, we're just too far back. I think one more lap and we may have closed in on him, but you can see there Fangio coming through, looking pretty unscathed, and providing that he manages to make this final corner, he is going to take his first victory of the season. He had a very good start to the season, leading the championship early on. As we come through the final corner, Juan Manuel Fangio takes victory for Mercedes for the first time this season. We take a very well-deserved P2, and quite a long way behind, in fact, is Niki Lauda in third. But he will take the championship lead as we go into the final round in Brazil. But boys, what a race that was. So many twists and turns as we went along the way. First of all, you thought it was going to be Hakkinen that won, but in fact it was this man, Juan Manuel Fangio, takes the victory this time. And there you can see Lauda also celebrating because he is still in the lead of the championship. But the Mercedes guys looking very, very happy indeed with their day's work. And boys, what a strategy that was from Mercedes. Both of the guys going for two stoppers. Also Prost and Button went for two stoppers, which managed to get them into the points. Vettel on a three stopper was down in 9th, and Hakkinen did in fact manage to get past Button and Vettel, so he was in P8. But still a very disappointing afternoon for him. Alonso was involved in the wars and he was down in P19. Just one DNF, which was Jody Scheckter, and Jackie Stewart as well being lapped twice after his mishaps. But there you can see the driver standings. We've got Lauda leading the way by 9 points from myself, with Fangio jumping ahead of Fittipaldi, who had a very quiet race. So he slips down to 4th, with Senna there in 5th ahead of Schumacher, Hakkinen, Hamilton, Mansell and Andretti rounding out the top 10. But yes, it's only myself and Lauda that can win the championship. And as we go onto the constructor standings, Ferrari have pretty much clinched it, thanks to some good driving from Lauda, of course, and some pretty solid points from Schumacher over the course of the season. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed this round of the F1 Legends career. Leave a like down below if you did, and I will catch you guys for the finale in a couple of days' time. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.